घनाघनतं सप्तशकलनगुणान्नभस्य वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् साक्षादरितेन समस्तशास्त्रैः वृत्तस्तथा भावत एव सद्भिः साक्षादरितेन समस्तशास्त्रैः वृत्तस्तथा भावत एव सद्भिः प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् तो प्रभो प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् संसारधामानललियलोक प्राणायकारिण घनाघनत्यम् सकलनगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसाद यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसाद यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि दयं स्तुवं तस्य यशस्वी सन्धं दयं स्तुवं तस्य यशस्वी सन्धं वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् संसारतापानलनिरलोक प्राणायकारिण्य घनाघनत्यम् सकलनगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome everyone globally to our weekly Bhagavad Gita reading and discussion with the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society, which was established in 2002, and now in 2024, we're moving along slowly but surely to protect the legacy of Srila Prabhupada in his unadulterated, unedited, and unchanged books. Very important point. Because once you start to change things, then the depth, the understanding of the disciplic succession becomes distorted. And this is unfortunate. And this is what we're fighting against, in a sense. It's like the battlefield of Kurukshetra. After all, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it was a fratricidal war, wasn't it, Dasavatar? It was. So the fact of the matter is, there is a conflict, between philosophies, opinions, speculation. But our philosophy is not a speculation. It's not a rationality. It's not a tool to be used for personal self-aggrandizement. It's not. Of course, everything in the material world is that way. People are manipulating situations for their own personal false ego benefit. That's it. And it takes a long time to see that. Even in one's own personal evolution, it takes a long time to go through all of these different trials and tribulations to get some sense of purpose and focus. It takes time, Vijaya Pandit, and maturity and sincerity. It's not whimsical. And you have to understand Guru Tattva. This is important, very important. And here in Yautepec, Mexico, we're in a situation is very educational. It is extremely, you have to be here to get the idea. It's extraordinary. And I take it as Krishna's mercy on me. Yes, I've been in different situations where death has been in front of me. For example, when I was president in Toronto back in the day, the Air India flight that was bombed over England included 12 members from our temple that were killed on the plane. And they brought the bodies back to Toronto. I had to go to honor the parents of some of the people where their children were killed. We had one family. The whole family was wiped out. The father, the mother, and the children all killed in that plane. It was a tragedy. I still remember they were blaming me when I went to the funeral home. Why did you let Krishna do that? It's your fault. They blame me. But they were very overtaken with grief and sadness. And I understood it was a tragedy, and people have, Michael Dillon, all kinds of mixed emotions when death faces them. We had an experience with Vishnu Tattva where he almost died, and myself and Jupiter, I've told that story. We drove all the way to Sudbury to the hospital from Hamilton. And it's filmed, actually. It's in one of our sites that we've created. And it shows us making this trip. And I went there, and as soon as I got to the hospital, I went in and I read Chaitanya Charitamrita. I just really stormed in there in a polite way into this hospital in Sudbury, and I started reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. I read for 3 hours to him, and he was pretty much finished. He had tubes in his face, and he was very injured by his stroke or heart attack or whatever it was. I came back the next day, I did the same thing, and Ram Raghava, he revived. He became revived, and he went back to where he lived in Northern Ontario, and eventually I kept in communication with him, and eventually he was out on a walk one day, and he collapsed again about 6 months later, and he passed away on the street. And Vishnu Tattva was a good devotee, he was very good. He carried Prabhupada's palanquin when Prabhupada left the planet. When he was in Vrindavan, he was Mr. Ontario, Vishnu Tattva, Yashoda, Mr. Ontario. And Yashoda knows Vishnu Tattva and his wife Bhishmaka. So he carried Prabhupada around Vrindavan on the palanquin. He was the last disciple of Prabhupada's that got second initiation while Prabhupada was still with us in his manifested presence. And it's interesting to know, and I remember when he came to me, he was somewhat of a successful business. It was about 6 months prior in Toronto. He says, I'm going to sell everything and go to Vrindavan. I said, go ahead, go, get out of here. And he went ahead and did. And just see Dasa Avatar, how he got Prabhupada's mercy by taking action, by getting up and get going, not just sit back and look at the days and nights go by and not think of anything except, oh, I'm not doing very well. No, it's a reality. So I won't go into any more of that, but I wanted to refer to the verse here today because it's been on my mind. I can't help it with Gopal here. And it's tragic. You know, since I've been here, I've sent some of you pictures. For 4 weeks I've been here, he has been simply lying down in misery in this material body that he possesses. Now, it's been a progressive deterioration. Nowadays, in these last week or so, he can hardly speak. He had a heart attack after the operation at the hospital, and he insisted, oh, I've got to come back to Kashla Goloka. And I told them, yeah, let him come back here. It'll be better for him. And since he's been here, he's just been lying there for now, for about 8 weeks. He's been lying down on a bed. And now he's got to the point where he can't speak, really. The particular the breathing apparatus is so affected by the cancer that he's very short in breath. He can barely live. And he just murmurs a bit. I go into his room, I chant the Nrsimha prayers to him, I do some japa, walk around, stay in that atmosphere. Then the nurses come in and on it goes. But it's apparent, it's vivid. And you know something, a lot of us, and I'm not referring to any one person here, not one person. I'm speaking in general. A lot of us, we're on the mental platform of understanding Krishna consciousness. It's intellectually pleasing. But spiritually, it takes a depth of service to the spiritual master to be blessed by Krishna, to get some realization, even a little bit of realization of what is our position in this material world. It's not intellectual, it's not scholastic, it's devotional. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, similarly, the soul, oh, thank you, our good godbrother Rupa Goswami. Yeah, look at that. accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Very, very Ram Raghava, very apparent in this situation with Gopal. The body is changed. It's deteriorating right in front of my eyes. This bag of blood, pus, stool, urine, this useless body. But the soul is still there. The subtle body is there, mind, intelligence, and ego. And above that, the soul and the super soul. So everything is there, but the body is deteriorating. Change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even some of the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from the heart, have to accept, just follow that, from the heart, have to accept continuous changes of body which appear from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, and again from youth to old age. From old age, the change is transferred to another body. This is already explained in the previous verse. Transference of the automatic individual soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the supersoul. The supersoul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. The Vedas, like the Mundaka Upanishad as well as the Sweta Jvatara Upanishad, compare the soul and the supersoul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the individual atomic soul, that's you, everybody. That's you. That's me. Is eating the fruit, and the other bird, Krishna, is simply watching. Is this just a story or reality? Of these two birds, although they are in the same quality, one is captivated by the activities, is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Krishna is the witnessing bird, and Arjuna is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master, and the other is the servant. This is the problem. We think we're in charge. We're not. Krishna is in charge. We are insignificant, Michael Dillon. Insignificant specks in the universe. Give up this false sense of proprietorship over this body. It's not yours. Forgetfulness of the relationship by the atomic soul is the cause of one's changing his position from one tree to another, or from one body to another. The Jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body. Yes, just look at Gopal, our friend. Terrible, terrible. But the wise man laments neither for the living nor the dead. Actually, I don't want to say I can see it, but I can see this philosophy in reality, right in my eyes, in front of my eyes. That this poor situation that we're in is a lesson for myself and all of us together. It's not just me, it's all of us witnessing this experience. The Jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body. Yes, we all are. But as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master, not only Krishna, but Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, do not be confused, Vijaya Pandit, by the bogus teachings of these people in their bodies that think they're bona fide spiritual masters. As Arjuna agreed to do by voluntary surrender unto Krishna for instruction. Voluntary. We have independent free will. The subordinate bird immediately becomes free from all lamentations. And I was saying the other day, actually Krishna consciousness is not misery. Although people look at it, oh, you don't have sex, you don't do intoxications, you don't do anything. How can you be happy? I had a situation with someone recently who I've been encouraging to stop drinking alcohol. Yeah, because it's an addiction. A lot of people, obviously it's an addiction. They sell billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of alcohol to the brainwashed public. So this friend, somehow or other, they went out to a party the other day. They hadn't drank for a couple of months. And I was complimenting them. Oh, you're doing really well. Your kids will like that. Your friends will like it. Everyone will like it. And guess what happened? They had a drink. And one drink led to 2 drinks. And 2 drinks led to 3 drinks. And on from there, multiple drinks because you lose control. Was that person happy? No. The next day when they called me, they were miserable. Very miserable and disappointed with themselves. So that is the material world. People think you'll be happy if you drink. No, you won't. So all the activities in the modes of passion and ignorance will result in misery. That is the material world. And Krishna consciousness, those people like us, all of us in our group, and so many good devotees around the world, we follow this path of bliss, of happiness, Satchit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Knowledge means happiness. It's the king of education, so never be discouraged, Dasa Avatar, never. And then relish this opportunity that we all have together to make advancement in spiritual life under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master in his Vani incarnation. Please do not minimize this. Someone asked us a question the other day. Nilesh Sharma, oh, I think it was you. You asked, well, who's the bona fide representative from Prabhupada? I'm paraphrasing. I gave the answer, we all are. We all represent Srila Prabhupada as a group. And we all have a common denominator. Yes, that he is living in sound and we are living with him. Yes, we are. And the more we practice this philosophy this way, the more we'll feel transcendental bliss and happiness. So we have a program this morning. We're excited. I'm so excited to be with all of you. Thank you. Thank you for coming to this event. I know someone criticized, in a sense, well, why are you counting numbers in that? It matters. Even if it's just a few ants here, little specks. We hardly have anybody. There's trillions of living entities, Rama Raghav. Trillions. We're so insignificant. But at the same time, something is better than nothing. Something is better. 2 is better than 1, 3 is. So let's strive to continue to promote our group and our efforts globally so that Krishna and Prabhupada will be pleased with us. We're going to move ahead with the chanting of the bhajan. It was such wonderful, Yashoda, when we used to sit in Vrindavan. I remember I was there for the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, that first arti. In fact, I had cartels. I passed them up in the crowd in front of the deities. It was the first arti that was performed, and I was in the crowd. I passed my cartels up, and Prabhupada played those cartels, and they were passed back to me, and I have them. I've lent them to somebody in Russia who has been having them for about 5 years, and I keep telling him, give me back those cartels. Give them back to me. But at any rate, it was a great thing that I was there for that. It was such a wonderful experience, and I remember Yashoda being there and being in the Gurukula and everything, and oh my God, what a transcendental experience for all of us. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's have the Jaya Radha Madhava prayers that Prabhupada sang in Vrindavan in front of us, and we were all blessed to be in front of him. Hari Bol.
Say. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We want to thank everybody for participating and attending. As we do every week, we will be reciting the introductory verses to the Bhagavad Gita that were given by Srila Prabhupada himself in 1966 when he started lecturing in New York. This is from the introduction on page 1. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sugurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and into the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadada, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distress and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Haripriye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today we will be reading from chapter 13, text number 3. This is a very long purport, and we'll read probably most of it or a good portion of it. This reading has been conducted on the basis of the non-adulterated, non-interpolated, non-edited Bhagavad Gita as it is, the Macmillan edition, and all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Text number 13 on page 621. Text number 3. Kshetrajnam chapimam viddi sarvakshitreshu bharata kshetrajnayor jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama. Kshetrajnam, the knower, cha, also, api, certainly, mam, me, viddi, no, sarva, all, kshetreshu, in bodily fields, bharata, O son of Bharata, kshetra, field of activities, the body, kshetrajnayo, the knower of the field, jnanam, knowledge, yat, that which is taught, tat, that, jnanam, knowledge, matam, opinion, mama, that. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O scion of Bharata, you should understand that I'm also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Purport by His Divine Grace. While discussing the subject of this body and the owner of the body, the soul and the supersoul, we shall find 3 different topics of study: the Lord, the living entity, and matter. In every field of activities, in every body, there are 2 souls, the individual soul and the supersoul. Because the supersoul is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna says, I am also the knower, but I am not the individual owner of the body. I am the super knower. I am present in every body as the Paramatma or supersoul. one who studies the subject matter of the field of activity and the knower of the field very minutely in terms of this Bhagavad Gita can attain to knowledge. The Lord says, I am the knower of the field of activities in every individual body. The individual may be the knower of his own body, but he is not in knowledge of other bodies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present as the Supersoul in all bodies, knows everything about all bodies. He knows all the different bodies of all the various species of life. A citizen may know everything about his patch of land, but the king knows not only his palace, but all the properties possessed by the individual citizens. Similarly, one may be the proprietor of the body individually, but the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of all bodies. The king is the original proprietor of the kingdom, and the citizen is the secondary proprietor. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the supreme proprietor of all bodies. The body consists of the senses. The Supreme Lord is Rishikesha, which means controller of the senses, is the original controller of the senses, just as the king is the original controller of all the activities of the state, and the citizens are secondary controllers. The Lord also says, I am also the knower. This means that he is the super knower. The individual soul knows only his particular body. In the Vedic literature, it is stated as follows: Kshetrani hi sarirani bijam chapi shubha shubhe tani vetti sayogatma tatah kshetragnya uchyate. This body is called the kshetra, and within it dwells the owner of the body and the Supreme Lord, who knows both the body and the owner of the body. Therefore, he is called the knower of all fields. The distinction between the field of activities, the owner of activities, and the supreme owner of activities is described as follows: perfect knowledge of the constitution of the body, the constitution of the individual soul, and the constitution of the supersoul is known in terms of Vedic literature as jnanam. That is the opinion of Krishna. To understand both the soul and the supersoul as one yet distinct is knowledge. One who does not understand the field of activity and the knower of activity is not in perfect knowledge. One has to understand the position of Prakriti, nature, and Purusha, the enjoyer of the nature, and Ishvara, the knower who dominates or controls nature and the individual soul. One should not confuse the three in their different capacities. One should not confuse the painter, the painting, and the easel. This material world, which is the field of activities, is nature, and the enjoyer of nature is the living entity, and above them both is the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead. It is stated in the Vedic language, Bhokta Bhogyam Preritaram Chamatva Sarvam Proktam Trividam Brahmametat. There are three Brahman conceptions. Prakriti is Brahman as the field of activities, and the Jiva, individual soul, is also Brahman and is trying to control material nature. And the controller of both of them is also Brahman, but he is the factual controller. In this chapter, it will be also explained that out of the two knowers, one is fallible and the other is infallible. One is superior and the other is subordinate. One who understands the two knowers of the field is to be one and the same contradicts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who states here very clearly that I am also the knower of the field of activity. One who misunderstands a rope to be a serpent is not in knowledge. There are different kinds of bodies, but there are different owners of the bodies. Before each individual soul has his individual capacity of lording it over material nature, there are different bodies, but the Supreme also is present in them as the controller. The word cha is significant, for it indicates the total number of bodies. That is the opinion of Sri Baladeva Vidyabhushana. Krishna is the super soul present in each and every body, aham, apart from the individual soul. And Krishna explicitly says here that the super soul is the controller of both the field of activities and the finite enjoyer. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shwanyavadi Pashatyadeshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasme Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshatah Adadana Danteridam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhurishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadasu Esmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Satkaromisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. When we were in Japan preaching, one brahmachari started to make an analysis of different verses in the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, which discusses the position of the soul and the difference between the soul and super soul. So what he did is that he would take a couple of pieces of paper and put bullet points of every major sentence and every point in purports like this. And he would study it from the point of view of a flowing chart. How Srila Prabhupada is explaining the position of the soul. Now, we do know from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, how Lord Krishna begins his instruction to Arjuna that you will always be individual. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipaha. In that verse, there's a two Sanskrit term, na bhavishyamaha, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Chapter 2, text 12. You can go to that chapter 2, text 12 and see exactly what Krishna says. Because this is a very important instruction. The Mayavadis tried to preach that the individual soul and the super soul are the same, that you merge with the super soul. But Krishna says something very different. Here we go. Chapter 12. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipaha nacheva na bhavishyamaha sarvevaya mataparam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. If you look at the last line of Sanskrit, nabhavishyamaha, sarvevaya mataparam. In other words, Prabhupada is explaining this. If you look in the purport further down, Prabhupada is quoting the Kathopanishad, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bahunam Yuvidadati Kaman, Tamatmastam Yunupasyanti Dhiras, Tesam Shanti Sasvati Netaresham, Kathopanishad 2:13. The same Vedic truth given to Arjuna is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned, but factually have but a poor fund of knowledge. The Lord says clearly that he himself, Arjuna, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and that the Lord is eternally the maintainer of the individual living entities, both in their condition as well as in their liberated situations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme individual person, and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal associates, and all the kings assembled there are individual, eternal persons. It is not that they did not exist as individuals in the past, and it is not that they will not remain eternal persons. Their individuality existed in the past, and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. Therefore, there is no cause for lamentation for anyone. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul separated by the covering of Maya or illusion will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the supreme authority. So it's very important to understand this. This is a very fundamental principle, axiomatic truth that Krishna is declaring here. What is that? That you will always remain individual. You have always been individual and will always remain in the future as an individual, even after liberation. The false idea from the impersonalists or the Mayavadis that eventually you will merge into the impersonal Brahman is not supported by Lord Krishna. Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita does not support this false idea. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse from the Padma Purana, Mayavadam asat shastram prachannam bhaudamuchyate, Mayeva kalpitam devi kalau brahmana rupina. Lord Shiva is telling his wife Parvati that in the age of Kali, kalau brahmana rupina, I will appear in the form of a brahmana. This is the prediction of Shankaracharya. What he will do, Mayavada dasat shastram, these Mayavadi commentaries are called Asat Shastra. They're false. They're not the real purport of the Vedic scriptures. In the second canto of the Bhagavatam, there's a very interesting purport where Srila Prabhupada explains, Alodya Sarva Shastrani Vicharya Cha Punah Punaha, that after looking at all the Vedic scriptures and analyzing them again and again, Idamekam Shaneshpanam Dhyeyo Narayana Sada, that the conclusion is that one should accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, Lord Krishna, as the Supreme. This is the conclusion. Unfortunately, the Mayavadis, under the influence of Maya, come to different conclusions. And that is why the great acharyas like Ramanuja and their followers, Madhvacharya and his transcendental followers, Nimbarka, Vishnu Swami, the followers of Vallabhacharya, and the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have written extensive commentaries on the Shastra to support the conclusion that the individual soul is eternally the servant of Krishna. As part of this program, we've often quoted a very short statement from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Krishna Das Kaviraj summarizes the whole Vaishnava philosophy. He says, Ekal Ishwar Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller, Ar Savabritya. All others are his eternal servant. There's also another text in Bengali describing that the eternal position of the living entity is to be the servant of Krishna. This is not complicated to understand, but there's a warning given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Do not hear from the Mayavadis. And the problem that we're facing nowadays, there's many Vaishnavas. Oh, very nice. Look at that. Thank you, Prabhu. Ekali Ishwar Krishna, Ar Savabritya, Yare Yaiche Nachaya, Setoiche Kare Nritya. Lord Krishna alone is the supreme controller, and all other are his servants. They dance as he makes them do so. This is very important, because nowadays what we see is many persons who appear in the dress of Vaishnavas. They're the look of Vaishnavas, the shaven head of Vaishnavas, but unfortunately what they preach is much more similar to Mayavadi idea than the actual Vaishnava philosophy that Prabhupada taught. One of these ideas say, oh, Guru is one. Yes, Prabhupada said Guru is one, and he's also explained that. But Guru is also different. There's different levels. Just like in one letter in the early 1970s, Prabhupada warned one of his followers, all Vaishnavas are authorities, but there are different degrees of authority. One is to use his intelligence to discriminate. It's not all one. There are differences of realization, differences of understanding, differences of surrender. Of course, one may argue, well, as soon as one is engaged in a path of devotional service, this is very auspicious. For example, in the second canto of Bhagavatam, in one place, Prabhupada says, even a neophyte Prabhupada is using the term, is imperceptibly liberated. The path of Krishna consciousness or bhakti is very powerful, even though one may not be very advanced or very realized or actually liberated, because he's part of the process, following the process, he's on the path. He will eventually be liberated. But one should not imitate. This tendency towards imitation is very dangerous. Why? Here's the warning. In the Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction, Prabhupada warns, if one imitates the Mahabhagavata without being self-realized, eventually he will become degraded. We have no such thing in our philosophy as minimum realization, maximum puja. This is not the philosophy. This is not what Prabhupada taught, and you can look it up. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 24, text 330. If you look that verse, you will see exactly what is the philosophy. In that purport, Prabhupada says, only such a person, a Mahabhagavata Sreshto, a topmost Mahabhagavata, is fit to occupy the position of Guru. And somebody may say, well, wait a minute. Prabhupada says in many places in his books that all of you followers and disciples should become gurus. All of you should teach, should preach. I personally saw in Chandigarh, India, in Haryana in October of 1976, Srila Prabhupada was talking to a bunch of reporters. He's talking to a bunch of dignitaries in India. They were not initiated. They were not chanting 16 rounds. They were not wearing dhotis. And Prabhupada says, all of you should become gurus and preach. It's the duty of everybody. Bharat Bhumiti Oi Manusha Janma, that if you are, oh, very nice. Rupa Goswami put the exact quote there in the chat. That if you are born in the land of India, from Indian descent, it's your duty. Make your life perfect and preach this to others. Prabhupada wanted all of his followers to preach the shiksha, the vani, the teachings. But this danger of imitation, this minimum qualification, maximum puja, and maximum money grab, this is not the philosophy that Prabhupada and our previous acharyas did. And we've seen the result of people who've engaged in this impudent, nonsensical imitation of the Mahabhagavata. We don't need to go into the history here. We've often discussed it. And anybody with a minimum amount of brain substance between their two ears can understand. It's not complicated to understand. It's not difficult to understand. It only becomes difficult if the weeds of profit, adoration, and distinction come in. When these weeds come in, oh, then it's problem. Then it's very troublesome. Then people think in terms of becoming reputed devotees or avatars. If somebody, okay, Guru Lakshan, this is the text, Guru Lakshan, Shishya Lakshan, Donhar Parikshana, Sevya Bhagavan Sarvamanta Vicharana. If you look in the purport further down, goes further down, there's that text there, Maha Bhagavata Sreshto Brahmano Ve Guru Nrinam, Sarvesham Evalokanam Aso Pujo Yataharihi. Mahakula Prasutopi Sarva Yakshenu Yagneshu Dikshitaha Sahasra Shaka Dhyayicha Na Guruhu Syada Vaishnavaha. And Prabhupada is explaining the Guru must be situated on the topmost platform of devotional service. There are three classes of devotees, and the guru must be accepted from the topmost class. The first class devotee is the spiritual master for all kinds of people. It is said, Guru Nrinam. The word Nrinam means of all human beings. The guru is not limited to a particular group. It is stated in the Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami that a guru is a Goswami, a controller of the senses and the mind. Such a guru can accept disciples from all over the world. Pritibim satishyat. That is the test of the guru. If you go further down in the purport, that particular, trying to find that particular statement that only such a person can accept that position. I guess probably have to, okay, hold on. Okay, it says here, only such a person is eligible to occupy the post of a guru when one has attained the topmost position of Mahabhagavata. But it seems that some people don't accept this. They have some other ideas. They have some other speculation and concoction. Some people say, oh, if somebody is controlling the senses, well, you didn't control the senses too well, but you couldn't repeat what Prabhupada said. Controlling the tongue means that you do not speak anything which is contrary to the instruction of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. When you change Prabhupada's statements, when you change Prabhupada's books, when you change and interpret clearly Prabhupada's instructions, you're not controlling your tongue. You're misrepresenting the instruction. We'll leave it at that. Back in the studio with Vishwakarma Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and thank you very much. Yeah, it's interesting to note there are three types of gurus. Vartma Padarshika Guru. There's the Sishya Guru. And there's the Diksha Guru. So Guru is also divided into three. And here, Yashodanandana Prabhu has pointed out, according to Shastra, the qualification of a Diksha Guru, which is for initiation. Because remember, when a person takes that role of Diksha Guru, they also have to accept the burden of the karma of their disciples. That's a very serious thing and cannot be minimized. And we see that in some cases, Prabhus, that some people have suffered great pain and suffering in this body because of accepting a large number of disciples. And this is forbidden by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, yes. But somehow or other they make it up. And it's recently I've been, Yashodanandana Prabhu, because you've been speaking about that, I wanted to further give him information for all of us. There's a friend of mine, he's been a friend for 45 years or so, from Silicon Valley. He is the guru in Silicon Valley. And I see him producing all kinds of videos, Michael Dillon, for Facebook. Because I study the Facebook media. We have over 30,000 people as friends in Facebook. And so I see his speeches. He gives these he's not repeating, even though he's a Prabhupada disciple, he does not repeat Prabhupada's words. He makes up other things, like he quoted Louis Pasteur, this famous doctor. He quotes him, and then he talks about how you have to be motivated to focus on your purpose in life, and then you'll achieve it. So he's like Tony Robbins. He comes on the screen with a Ralph Lauren shirt. It's not a big deal. But he's got an image of that, and it's a sad very sad to see that our God brothers, there's another God brother of ours, similar, another person trying to build a business, guru business. He's on every day nowadays. He looks a bit lunatic. His eyes are popping out of his head. He had recently had a severe health condition, and he survived that. And now he's carrying on. He's determined, and he's preaching about Krishna and the gopis. And like Prabhupada said in a lecture, when you start to speak like that you're talking about Krishna and the gopis, and relating that as an understanding of our philosophy to teach others this is a step close to fall down. It's called the Gopi Bhava clique. It's very dangerous. We should always remember one thing, Ramaragava. We are servants of the servants of the servants of the spiritual master. If we can get to that platform, that is the greatest position in this world of illusion. Getting back to to particular verse today, Prabhupada was talking about the field, the knower of the field, and the super knower of the field of activity. And it brought me back to the reading of the Nectar of Devotion of the definition of God. God means Dharma Bhavana and includes everything. And nobody can really understand the potency of Krishna. It's inconceivable. That is the position of the living entity. How can you understand trillions of planets, trillions of living entities, and God is present in all of them? It's impossible. We can barely understand anything, really, except who we are. I'm great. I'm an American. I'm a Canadian. I'm a businessman. All these so-called super Dharma Bhavana, I'm a Grihasta. We're not Grihastas. We're not businessmen. We're not Americans. We're not Canadians. Jivara Swarupa Hoy. We're really spirit souls. That's a realization that we should have. And this is real knowledge. No, it doesn't matter who you think you are. Look at this fellow. I'm just using it as an example. This is a person that's the president of the United States. Is he a smart guy? Is he? Well, materially, he's got some negotiating skills. But he's fool number one. Because he does not realize, for one who is born, death is certain, and for one who has died, birth is certain. He is in the cycle of birth and death. Recently, there was an announcement. Jimmy Carter died. Oh. So all of a sudden, Jimmy Carter's died. Everyone must die. But no one thinks, I will die. This is the great illusion of life. You come here in this field of activity. You generate money. You generate position. You become famous for a few moments. You're famous. Oh, yeah. Do you know who I am? You're Mr. How about this for Jaya Pandit? I'll tell you who you are. You're Mr. Nobody. That's who you are. You think you're somebody, but you're in an illusion. You're a fool number one. You're crazy. You think you'll live on, but before you know it, you'll be struck down. Just like in the situation here in Yautepec with my friend Gopal. I was here in November for 5 weeks. It was all right. We would go out to the juice bar in the morning, we'd go for a walk, a japa walk, come back, everything seemed all right. And then all of a sudden, boom, lightning strikes. And just see what's going on now. So these people think, oh, they won't die. Your mother has died. Your sister has died. Your brother has died. Your friends have died. But you think what, Vijaya Pandit? I won't die. Not me. Eh, Tom? I won't die. Yes, you will. We're in a place of repeated birth and death, transmigration of the soul. These are facts. And it's important. And I want everyone to understand this, Amber. Just reading this one purport that we read today, verse 3, and the purport by Srila Prabhupada, all the knowledge that you need to have to get out of this material world is contained in this one purport. This is the significance of association, Tom, with a pure devotee of Krishna in sound vibration. Sure, there were great teachers. Like I know that Bhakta Tom, who's my friend, is also studied the Bible, correct? Now, the Bible has some information, but does it have the information that's contained in this one purport in the teachings of Jesus? No. Why? Because Jesus said there's many things that you should know, but it's not the time and place for you to get this information. They were still eating fish. Huh? There's a great story about him expanding the loaves of bread and the fish and the wine and this and that. This Krishna consciousness movement that we have here in disciplic succession, Tom, from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the greatest gift to the human society since the existence of Mother Earth. How about that? And do we think that we should take it seriously? I hope so. I hope so. Because this is Dasa Avatar, a great opportunity for all of us. This philosophy of Krishna consciousness and the practice of it is the opportunity for all of us to go back home, back to Godhead in one lifetime. This is extraordinarily opportunistic for all of those who are serious about spiritual life. And just before I wind up, in our particular situation, where we've formed this group, probably PDA HKS, what is our goal? The goal is to associate with people who are serious about Krishna consciousness. Yeah. I always refer to my Muslim friend from MMA. Always. I think about it. I haven't watched him recently, but it still rung my bell. That he would say, if you're not serious about coming here and training in Dagestan with us, don't come. We don't need you. We don't want you. And in the same way, we're not looking for followers. No. We're looking for people that are serious about surrendering and helping us. We have multiple programs. By the way, just so everybody knows, Ram Raghava, even though we're not announcing our master plan, the master plan is there, Bhavanana, Dharma Bhavana. There is a master plan. And it's a serious plan, and we have serious people working with us. We're not telling our plan, we're executing the plan, step by step. And we need people to come forward with us to help us, because teamwork makes dreams work. Yes, through teamwork, we'll be able to succeed in protecting Srila Prabhupada's legacy for the next 10,000 years. So thank you very much. We're going to go to the review of the biography, the unauthorized biography of Srila Prabhupada, also known as the Leelamrita. And we are going to be publishing this book in the near future. Yes. And we'll have chapters on Guru Tattva, and we'll have chapters on the Vani incarnation. and a brief explanation of Prabhupada's bio, so there's no confusion about who Srila Prabhupada is and who we are as his bona fide disciples. We're going to go to this section of our program with Yashodanandana Prabhu as we march forward this Saturday morning on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, reading and recitation. Yashodanandana Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. We are reading from the Lilamrita Review, section 1. This is on page number 10. This deals with various statements of the Lilamrita, which basically contradict Srila Prabhupada's statements in his own books. On page number 10 of the Lilamrita Review, I don't know, where you have page number 10 there? Okay, here we go. A little further up. Okay. The Lilamrita speculates that Srila Prabhupada had imperfect senses. This is from Lilamrita, book number 2, page number 43. That morning, Srila Prabhupada, who had perhaps never seen snow, woke and thought that someone had whitewashed the side of the building next door. Not until he went outside did he discover that it was snow. Unlike the conditioned souls, the liberated soul does not have imperfect senses. His divine grace writes. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 18, Text 5. Presently, people are so fallen that they cannot distinguish between a liberated soul and a conditioned soul. A conditioned soul is hampered by 4 defects. He is sure to commit mistakes. He is sure to become illusioned. He has a tendency to cheat others, and his senses are imperfect. Consequently, we have to take directions from liberated persons. Because the entire world is now following the imperfect direction of conditioned souls, humanity is completely bewildered. Next, we have a statement from Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 24. Srila Prabhupada explains, mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfection, which are the flaws of all conditioned souls, the liberated souls are above those flaws. Then we have a statement from Canto number 3, Chapter 24, Text number 12, where His Divine Grace explains, but if one carries out the order of the spiritual master by disciplic succession or the parampara system, he overcomes the 4 defects. Then we have another statement. This is from Canto number 3, Chapter 7, Text number 8. Although a devotee may apparently express himself to be ignorant, he's in full knowledge in every intricate matter. Srila Prabhupada's position is similar to that of Krishnadas Kaviraja. So even if Srila Prabhupada himself told this story, we would not have taken his imperfect senses story literally. From Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text 27. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also thinks of himself in such a humble way. I'm a worse sinner than Jagai and Madai, and I'm even lower than the worms in stool. A pure devotee always thinks himself more deficient than everyone else. If a devotee approaches Srimati Radharani to offer some service to Krishna, even Srimati Radharani thinks that the devotee is greater than she. Next, we have a statement from Srila Prabhupada from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, Chapter 13, Text 1. It should be concluded, therefore, that the description of Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami manifests specific mercy bestowed upon the author. Although he taught himself as the most fallen, we should not consider him fallen because he describes himself as such. To think of the spiritual master as having a material body subject to material defects is to think of the bona fide spiritual master as fallen. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3, Text number 2. The material body is meant for sense enjoyment, whereas the spiritual body engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee who engages in the service of the Supreme Lord and who constantly thinks of him should never be considered to have a material body. It is therefore enjoined, Gurushu Naramati. One should stop thinking of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being with a material body. Next, we have Canto number 7, Chapter 15, Text 26 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. If one considers the spiritual master an ordinary human being, one is doomed. One may argue by saying that since the spiritual master's relatives and men of his neighborhood consider him an ordinary human being, what is the fault on the part of the disciple to consider the spiritual master an ordinary human being? He must be accepted as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even a slight deviation from this understanding can create disaster in the disciples' Vedic studies and austerities. Next time we will continue with Srila Prabhupada did not have material emotions. We will read from this part tomorrow morning in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
It's very revealing how it's like a razor's edge, Dharma Bhavana. You see that. If a slight deviation and it'll cut you. So it's very important we stay focused with no compromise on the philosophy that Prabhupada gave us in his wonderful books, his lectures. The lectures, by the way, please relish these lectures because the depth of the meaning and understanding of his words is directly delivered via media him from Krishna to all of us. And that sound is living. Ram Raghava. And by the way, I wanted to say thank you, everyone, throughout the world. You are all circles of influence, and please, you'll understand that you have positions of guru as well. Vartma Padarshika Guru, you introduce Krishna consciousness to others, and in your best way, try to teach others as Siksha Guru. Teach them and practice yourself. Ram Raghava, you have a question, I understand, for the audience's benefit you can ask. You showed Anandana of Prabhu for us.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. First of all, for the pleasure of the devotees today, there were up to 13 people on YouTube on the live stream. No questions yet. But yes, I had a question So in the verse we read today, Sarva Khetreshu Bharata, Krishna says, I am the knower in all bodies. So is that why the self-realized soul, the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, knows what's in our heart, because he's in perfect touch with the super soul, and the super soul communicates with the self-realized soul and can convey whatever is in our hearts also.
Yes, that is accurate. That is correct. Another point is, we know from the testimony of many devotees who were in Prabhupada's presence that they have testified, they've made statements that they've directly experienced that being in Prabhupada's presence, that he seemed to know in advance what they were thinking. Now, let's understand one point. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, there's description how perfect yogis have a mystic ability to be able to enter in someone's heart and someone's mind and be able to understand what they think and what they plan to do. This is a mystic power that most ordinary human beings or neophyte devotees do not have. I know I do not have that power. Now, if I see some samosas, I have a special power. That's why they call me samosa pod. But the point is that a pure devotee is not on the level of an ordinary devotee. I'm talking about a full, liberated Paramamsa, topmost Mahabhagavat, who is in touch with Krishna 24 hours a day. Let me give an example. I was told by one of Prabhupada's servants that one time in Calcutta, one of the sannyasis there went to Srila Prabhupada's room and asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, when the spiritual master closes his eyes, what does he see? And then Prabhupada put his finger out and he chastised him. That question you do not need to ask. So the devotee went and said, but Prabhupada, the pure devotee, when he closes his eyes, what does he see? Then Prabhupada said, yes, the pure devotee, when he closes his eyes, he sees directly the pastimes of Krishna in his heart 24 hours a day. Now, this is a big difference between reading and remembering and directly experiencing. And this is a position of a person like Srila Prabhupada. Now, I had a personal experience, and I'll share that story. In 1977, in August, the temple in Fiji, Lautoka, Fiji, Srila Prabhupada wanted to get the temple officially started. So he requested Brahmananda to go to Fiji and do the opening ceremonies for the temple. And Brahmananda told Prabhupada, I don't know how to do that. Why don't you ask this Yashodananda? And he did this in Hyderabad in 1976. Because in 1976 at Janamastami, we invited 12 South Indian Vaishnavas from the Sri Vaishnava Ramanuja Sampradaya to conduct the opening ceremonies called the Pran Pratishtha ceremony. This goes over 3 or 4 days. So I was involved in doing all that. So then Prabhupada called me in the room and he says, why don't you sit down here? I have to talk to you. So what happened is Prabhupada sent Brahmananda and the secretary, the late secretary, to ask for me to come in his presence. So I went, paid my obeisance to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was leaning back on his pillow. You know, many times in Prabhupada's room, Prabhupada would lift his knee, he would have his bead bag on, and he would chant. And he looked at me and says, do you know what happened with the Kaliya snake after Krishna chastised him? I said, no, Prabhupada, what happened? And then Prabhupada was relating the story, how the Kaliya snake, after he was chastised by Krishna, he went all the way to Fiji. And there is actually a temple in Fiji where people worship a snake. And people say this is where the Kaliya snake is. But the way that Prabhupada was relating the story, he was not telling a story. It was like he was directly experiencing this. This was like Prabhupada experiencing that transcendental pastimes of the Krishna Kaliya chastisement. And it was like, wow. And then Prabhupada says, I want you to go to Fiji and do the opening ceremonies like you did in Hyderabad. And says, you contact Vasudev, they'll get whatever you need to do and everything. So my point is, this was quite an amazing experience because it was visibly, Srila Prabhupada was not just telling a story, he was experiencing this. This was very vivid. There was another time where Palika and another lady, they went to Srila Prabhupada and they wanted to know if the wigs on Radha Krishna were correct. And then Prabhupada looked at what they were doing and Prabhupada said, no, not like that. Then they came up with a different arrangement and Prabhupada said, yes, Radharani likes it like that. Now, nobody can imitate that. Anybody can say what they like about their so-called level of advancement or realization. Nobody can imitate the pure devotee. So the point is that a pure devotee is endowed with all mystic powers, and someone on a level like Srila Prabhupada is experiencing Krishna 24 hours a day. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Where's our good friend Neil Sharma Prabhu? Oh, look at that. Yes, you found the picture. Wow, look at that. This is where the Kaliya snake went. They're worshiping him there. Very sweet. It says, Fiji has no snakes, but the Fijians believe there is a big snake, Dagai, living up in a cave in the Naka Vadra mountain range in the northwest of the big islands, Viti Levu. Dagai is believed to be the ancestral god who brought the Fijians to Fiji, leading them through the ocean and landing them in Vuda near Lautoka. Visesi village in Vuda is believed to be their first settlement. From Vuda, Dagai traveled north, reaching the Nakavadra mountain range, and decided to make it his permanent home. So this is very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you very much for that, Prabhu. You have another point you wanted to make, Neil Sharma Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada. So, it is very interesting that you made several points about the guru from the Uttam Adhikari platform and what the guru should be viewed as somebody not from this particular world. So I would like to share something which I would like to kind of read out from Nectar of Devotion. Give me 1 second. Where did it go? Yeah, that how we should interact with not only each other but with the Uttam Adhikari person as well. And so here in Nectar of Devotion, if you look at it, on the bottom it says, give me 1 second, I can't read my own thing. Nectar of Instruction, sorry. Nectar of Instruction 5. Here I'm going to read the translation. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. And in the purport, Prabhupada talks about how we need to deal with the reciprocations. So I'm just going to read a little bit of the purports. In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with Vaishnavas in an appropriate way according to their particular status. In this verse, he tells us how to deal with three types of devotees: the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari is a neophyte who has received Harinam initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. Remember, there are three stages of chanting the holy name of Krishna: Nama Aprad, Nama Bhasa, and Shuddha Nam. So one should respect such a person within his mind as a Kanishta Vaishnava. A Madhyam Adhikari has received spiritual initiation from the spiritual master and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Madhyam Adhikari should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. The Uttam Adhikari, or the highest devotee, is the one who is very advanced in that devotional service. And Uttam Adhikari is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean and he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the association and service of such a Mahabhagavata or perfect Vaishnava are most desirable. So when we talked about Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya, whom should we serve? It is the Uttam Adhikari. And of course, they go ahead and explains in detail what these Uttam Adhikaris and Madhyam Adhikari and Kanishta Adhikaris distinction is. And I would like to just jump to the last paragraph where it is said very clearly by Prabhupada. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttam Adhikari Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttam Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well towards the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttam Adhikari as a spiritual master. So one question I have, Prabhuji, Yashodanand Prabhu, as it says in the purport, that a pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service is completely devoid of propensity to criticize others. Yes, we hear, yes, but in spite of that, we hear a lot of rascals and a lot of uh, criticism from Srila Prabhupada. How should one view this as?
Well, let's put it this way. There's a lot of different points in this purport. And the point is, all the acharyas in a disciplic succession have preached and defeated non-Vaishnava philosophy. This is all the way to Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. This is all the way to the Alvars before Ramanuja. The Alvars were predicted in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam that they would appear on the bank of sacred rivers in South India. These are 12 Vaishnava saints of their three Vaishnava traditions. In their writings, they have criticized non-devotional philosophies. All the acharyas of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, especially Ramanujacharya, Pillai Lokacharya, Sri Vedanta Desika, and hundreds and thousands of others have also done that. Same thing with the Madhva Sampradaya. You have Madhvacharya, then one of the commentators, Jayatirtha Acharya, Vyasatirtha Acharya, Raghavendra Swami, Vijayendra Swami. So many acharyas in these great South Indian sampradayas have devoted a lot of time writing, exposing non-devotional philosophies. It doesn't mean that they're criticizing others. No, they're emphasizing the supremacy of bhakti and that this is the real path for the living entities. Now, in our sampradaya, we have Baladevi Bhusana. Also, we have the other acharyas, like Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. As part of their explanation of devotional service, they have to explain what are non-devotional philosophies. It doesn't mean that they're criticizing. Again, this is the coming back to the point that Vishwakarma Prabhu and myself has made, the difference between fact-finding and fault-finding. We're not interested, the acharyas are not interested in just fault-finding. That is not the point. But there has to be intelligent discussion and discrimination to ascertain the truth. Coming back to your point, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's that statement by Krishnadas Kaviraj that Vaishnavas should understand the Siddhanta. Siddhanta Balyachite Nakara Alas. One should not be lazy in understanding the proper Siddhanta. So this is a very important point. Let me give an example about that particular purport. I had a discussion recently, as a matter of fact, somebody says, well, even Madhyamadikari can be a Diksha Guru. I said, first of all, the word Diksha Guru is not in that purport. You can accept a disciple by teaching him, by giving him instruction. I said, in 1974 in Ahmedabad, India, Prabhupada was discussing it in a lecture about the three kinds of devotees. And Prabhupada said, Madhyamadikari has to be very careful not to associate with demons because, again, he may become a demon. Now, there are two kinds of Madhyamadikari. Let's understand here. There's the Uttamadikari, the Mahabhagavata, who comes down to the platform of Madhyamadikari for preaching. And then there's the Madhyamadikari, the greater Madhyamadikari, who is coming up from the neophyte Prakrishna Bhakta, the Kanishtadikari platform. Now, somebody may say, well, it's not much of a difference, but there is a difference because the Mahabhagavata, Uttamadikari, who comes down for preaching, he may appear like a regular devotee. It's like we read in these purports in the Lamrita Review. He may appear to be an ordinary human being, but he's not. He is especially empowered. Whereas the one neophyte who barely has come up from the Kanishta platform, this is where the danger and the warning is, don't imitate the Uttamadikari, because there's going to be a problem. And if history has taught us anything, especially if the history of our movement since 1978 to 1986, we saw what happened when people imitated the Mahabhagavata. We saw the results. They didn't seem to have learned much from it, but the reality is there. So that's a few points to make here. And I'm sure in the future we can have further discussion on all these points, but here we go, Vishwakarma, you take it over. Hare Krishna. I hope it helps.
Hare Krishna.
Rupa, thank you. Sometimes we get technical problems in our production, and we want to thank everyone for participating in today's program. I thought you made an interesting point, Yashodanandana, about the different distinctions between gurus, the Uttama Adhikari, the Madhyama Adhikari. Prabhupada has given us all that understanding of our roles in life. We have so many roles that we fill in our daily activity. And as long as we can accept the role of servant of the spiritual master, that is the right role that we're in. Set that example. You know, it's interesting to note, Yashodanandana Prabhu, I find within the spiritual circles that we're in, that people have very little respect for each other. It's actually quite unfortunate, whether it's because of disappointment by so many people who have set themselves in the role. Like, for example, our children from the Gurukula system, called the Gurukulis. Sometimes they don't even want to hear that that person is a Prabhupada disciple, because they were so abused by the system and the Prabhupada disciples in the past that all they can think of, oh, this person's cursed. So this is the unfortunate situation that we're in. Like even in the sports worlds, for example, I have a friend who's a devotee from Hamilton. I cultivated him years ago, and he's a famous football player with the Georgia Bulldogs. And he's in the Sports Hall of Fame there, and he's in the State Hall of Fame. He's in the CFL, Canadian football. He's in the Hall of Fame there. He was the number, and people criticized me. How come you're at the football field with Ben? Why are you there? Well, the guy is a famous, but still they criticize. They fault find. This is going on. You could have distributed millions of plates of prasadam exposed to the people in the West, the holy name, to millions of people, and people look at you. Who do you think you are? Huh? I just got a letter from someone the other day. I told him, don't blaspheme. Who are you to say that? I'm trying to tell you, bro. You're speaking about a god brother of mine. You're blaspheming him. Don't do it. Well, who do you think you are? Okay, I'm nobody. But at the same time, there is no respect. Sounds like, what's his name? Rodney Dangerfield. I have no respect. But at the same time, the point is, and we're not looking for respect. Really, it's superficial. It really is. When you die, what are you going to do? You didn't respect me. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. But at the same time, there is such a thing as Vaishnava etiquette. And the ISKCON people, these people in this movement that we've become a part of, have very little sense, Nilesh Sharma, of etiquette. It's pathetic. They speculate, they postulate things, but no etiquette. It's not in them. I personally like the Mexican people here I'm with. They're not Vaishnavas, but they're good people. They have so much etiquette, so much class. We like people with class that step up, not step down. Like, for example, I like people that step up. It really inspires me. We have a friend, Naveen Krishna, who's living in Alachua, Florida. And we were doing a campaign for the Srimad Bhagavatam program to have the Bhagavatams printed. And I got a hold of him, and without hesitation, he donated $6,000. And he arranged with his small group of Prabhus there in that area. And I think they came up with $10,000 between the three of them or four of them. Okay. Is it about the money? No. You know, all of us have been through tens of millions of dollars. Yes, some of us have handled tens of millions of dollars. So is it $10,000 is a lot of money? But he stepped up because he was able to. If you gave $10, that's all right. But he was able to come up with 6,000 right away. And that made a big difference in our campaign because money means something. People that have millions of dollars, they don't give anything. It speaks for themselves, right? We're not stupid people. We know the difference between money, some people that have money that don't have money, some people that give money, and some people that hold it back because they're only interested in them. That's the fact. We've been on this roller coaster, this circus, a long time, even though it's a short time. So everybody understand that this is an opportunity for us to serve, and everybody do their best according to their position to surrender on all levels to the Sankirtan mission and the mission that we are undertaking to protect Prabhupada's legacy. And we'll leave it at that. And we'll be back tomorrow. Oh yeah, for Srimad Bhagavatam class, the Delhi Bhagavatam versions, which are beautiful. They're actually to have a set is a prized possession for those that can get them. Yeah, very valuable historical pieces. Prabhupada brought 200 of them to America back in 1965. So if anybody can get a copy of these Bhagavatams, it would be a great opportunity for them to read them and enjoy them transcendentally. So the Sankirtan movement marches forward. We're going forward. And like I said earlier, we have a master plan, Pirangelo. We do. And we're implementing it. If some people want to step up and participate in it, please get in touch with me or Yashoda or our members, Vijaya Pandit and Ram Raghava, etc. And step up and do what you want, but be a part of this. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vijaya Pandit, and good to see you with Yashoda Nandana. He seems to be in Italy, but he isn't. He's right beside Yashoda. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. 2 minutes and 54 seconds of chanting with Srila Prabhupada. And then we'll have the ending of the program. Hari. Yes, Yashoda, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, he came here to straighten me out and really check on me that I behave myself. That's one of the great benefit of having him here. You just want to make sure that I properly chant and properly worship the Shaligram and everything, and I behave myself. I'm very appreciative of his supervision. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bo. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating in this lively program. Vishwakarma Prabhu in Yautepec, Mexico, Neil Sharma Prabhu in Florida, whether it's, I don't know, Miami or Fort Lauderdale, Vijay Pandit from Twin Heart, California, and Ron Singh in Oroville, California, near the beautiful temple and book distribution center that he's setting up there in Oroville. We'll be seeing him soon with a very large load of books. Ram Raghava Prabhu in Georgia, Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California, Mataji Rochista Devidasi in Montreal, Canada, and Amber Endy from Texas, and everybody, Rupa Goswami Prabhu in Mumbai, India, and everybody participating in the program. Thank you very much. We invite you to come tomorrow morning for Srimad Bhagavatam class for more interesting reading and discussion on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam at 7 o'clock a.m., corresponding to 10 a.m. Eastern time, or whatever time zone you're in. Again, thank you very much, and come and listen to the kirtan with the Jamaican devotees. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.